Hello, everybody, and welcome into another exclusive edition of The Rundown. We're talking some girls' district hoops as well as a little bit of boys' regional basketball. Brandon Worth, joined by my compadre, once again, Blake Thomas. We've made it, Blake. The month we've been waiting for as Hoops Fanatics is finally here. We're in March, baby, and it is already in full swing. Massive upsets on the boys' side. Girls' side of the tournament has kicked off, and it has been very entertaining, and it's about to get even more entertaining over the next 3 days.
Yeah, it definitely feels like March. Just watching games over the weekend. I watched Baldwin's boys lose a heartbreaker at the buzzer. I definitely turned on that Rockford Muskegon game and saw the end of that, which was wild. And then I turned on the Tennessee Alabama game, and there's a buzzer beater there. It just felt like there were buzzer beaters everywhere. It's the greatest month of the year. You're not going to convince me otherwise. Excited that it's here. Can't wait to talk some girls basketball.
Absolutely. Before we get into the bracket breakdowns, big thanks goes out to Dazos Digital. Target your target audience with the experts of Dazos Digital. They can help you. You can find out all their services online at DazosDigital.com. You got web display, you got graphic design, audio streaming, the whole nine yards. You can find out all the information there at DazosDigital.com. Let's get right into it here, Blake. District basketball is in full swing. The first round matchups are in the books. We'll kind of go through those bracket by bracket. Of course, we will start with District 35. And for those looking for the boys recap as well, we'll get to that later in the last couple minutes of the show. So we'll have time codes. You can find them in the description of this YouTube video or on WBRN. Just stay tuned with us later on. And we'll get to the boys recap and regionals later on. But girls Districts 35, of course, to start a really tough, gritty defensive ball game in the first round of D35. Ludington edges out Reed City just in a really, really really gritty game. I mean, I've seen some basketball games in my day. That one was just gutsy, couldn't buy a bucket either team. You saw full court press one way. You had one team that obviously Reed City's dealt with some depth issues the whole year, and eventually it just caught up with them. They hung with a good Oriole team, but ultimately fall by 10.
Yeah, it's a tale as old as time. Ludington basketball, winning a district game. Their boys are district champions. Their girls have been to the Breslin Center in the last few years. They got a big 6'4" player in the middle, and you don't see that very often. And that's going to make that makes it difficult for anybody to score. And Reed City gave it all they had, but like you said, only having 7 varsity players for the majority of the year, you're going to run out of gas. And they did, but they played really good basketball towards the end of the season. Unfortunately, they're just in District 35 where you have, I did the math today. The combined record of the teams left is 74-13. You've
Oh,
got Ludington limping in at 17-5 with the worst record left. Big Rapids 19-2, Fremont 20-2, and Newaygo 18-4. You'll be hard pressed to find another district like that in the entire state of Michigan. It is as good a district as you're going to see, and Reed City belonged with that group. I know that Big Rapids was like, yeah, Ludington's tough, but so is Reed City. It's a tough matchup regardless. Kudos to Reed City, gave it all they could, but Ludington just, had a little bit more in the tank in the end.
absolutely. And good news, Blake and I are back, folks. We got the game for you on Wednesday. Don't let my background fool you if you guys are watching. We'll be on Big Country 100.9. It'll be a pregame at 5:20 p.m., 10 minutes before tip-off at 5:30 from Fremont for the Cardinals and the Orioles. You can catch that on 100.9 FM as well as the WWBR.com mobile app. Great. Can't wait to call that game. It's going to be a good one. Then you got Fremont and Newaygo, right? A little bit of a Newaygo County showdown, of course, later on at the 7 o'clock semifinal. And though those are two really good basketball games, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this Big Rapids team, they've geared up their last couple of weeks of the regular season. Blake, we talked to Coach Heiss last week, and she mentioned that playing Manistee and obviously playing a lot of these good teams down the stretch. Yeah. So there's obviously a lot of emphasis on getting ready for those district games, playing Cedar Springs this year, playing Mount Pleasant. And you see that from Ludington, too, who plays in a really dominant conference. It seems like all 4 of these teams left are very, very battle tested for the semifinal round.
Yeah, especially you look at Big Rapids, their 2 losses, one against a 15-6 Mount Pleasant team, and then a Spring Lake team on a buzzer beater earlier in the year, 12-9. But they play in the OK Black, the Zeeland schools. You've got Hudsonville Unity Christian, Holland Christian. Yeah, that's a battle tested team. They finished 6-6 in their league. They're a favorite to win a district. And then you close the season out by beating a really good Kanawha Hills team at their place. The Cardinals, they beat Cadillac, who finished 16-6, who beat the Mount Pleasant team that beat you earlier in the year. So the Cardinals are battle tested. They played as good a schedule as they possibly could. Coach Heist does a great job of going out and finding teams that are going to push her group, and they definitely got that. And they were successful in those games that they played. You think about your two losses, on a buzzer beater and by 8 points on the road on a Tuesday night against Mount Pleasant. This group is battle tested. They're tough. They're gritty. They find ways to win. They do it in a bunch of different ways. They're going to be a really tough out. And then on the flip side, Ludington, again, they're big. They've got the winning pedigree. Fremont, well coached by Coach Zerfus, who coached the boys forever. Now he's got the girls up. They've got 3 kids that can score it in bunches. And then you've got Newaygo, who's 18-4, who, maybe struggled a little bit down the road, down the line at the end after they played Big Rapids, played in a overtime game against Chip Hills, but found a way to win, and that's what good teams do, is find ways to win. You've got that Newaygo County battle. It's a short trip from Newaygo to Fremont, so they're going to travel well, and they're going to have to, because that gym is a tough place to play when it's rocking.
Absolutely. And you definitely want to bring your loose change to buy a bucket on those tight rims. There's no doubt about it. But speaking of the Warriors, Blake, they're playing one more game this week. They took down Ogama Heights in a dramatic game, 49-35. They ran away late. That's a massive win for the Warrior program, being able to knock off Ogama Heights. And now they're going to be playing the Clare Pioneers, which obviously might be a little bit of a tall hill to climb, but it's March. We saw on the boys' side, anybody can beat anybody. So we'll wish the Warriors good luck if they can see if they can face Standish Sterling or Gladwin, who will be in the other semifinal, awaiting the winner of that one.
Yeah, Coach Dorr does a good job over there. Did a great job you get a district win. There are many teams that go long periods of time that don't get those. So anytime you get one, you celebrate it, and you get to play, you get to practice the next day, and you get to play the following day. There's nothing better than that. Like you said, it's March. Crazy things happen in this month. A couple bounces go your way early, and you're right in the thick of it, and you can find a way to win, and you can play for a district title on a Friday night.
Absolutely. And if Chip Hills can score it at that rate, they're going to have some good success down the road, especially. We'll see how they do against Clare. Looking at District 40, Central Montcalm falls to Ionia, 57-40, the final score there. Obviously, we mentioned last, Coach Heist, you mentioned it, Blake, you mentioned it as well. I mean, Ionia is a tough place to play. That's a tough gym to start to score the basketball. The Hornets were kind of with them for a little bit, but eventually fell off the wagon. So now it'll be Ionia against Portland. Remember, that's an Ionia's gym, so you never know. And then you got St. John's and Belding, 2 very competitive teams, similar in NPR, and that'll be very fun matchups in those semifinals as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, cheering for the Belding girls. Coach Ingles' granddaughters, freshman twins on there, Emma and Olivia, are lighting it up, making a bunch of jump shots for the Black Knights over there. So it'd be pretty cool to see them, the Ingles family getting another district championship somewhere along the line.
Absolutely. Tutelage of trophies within that household for sure. District 41 did not have a game on Monday because there are only 4 in the district. Now, this is a more personal game than we could have ever expected because of the fact Comstock Park knocked off the Grant Tigers, the number 1 seed potentially in the whole region, one of the favorites in the region on the boys' side, knocked them out in the semifinal round. Same spot, obviously at Tri-County, different place, but man, that's going to be a personal game. The girls looking to get the get back for the boys. They're against the Panthers, I believe. And then you got Tri-County and Sparta looking to duke it out as well. Tri-County, if they can get past Sparta and they're awaiting a potential rematch with Grant, they seemed like they were really kind of getting themselves going the last month of the year, and especially on home floor, big advantage for them. But Grant, obviously the number 1 seed people are looking at.
Yeah, Grant is your top pick to win that. But again, Tri-County playing a winless Sparta team. They've got to be the favorite on their home gym. They get there and Grant wins, then we're guaranteed at least 1 CSAA title, district title to claim for the CSAA league, which would be awesome to have. But Grant, they're the odds-on favorite. But we said that with the boys too, and we saw what happened. So it just shows that you have to take everybody seriously at this time of year. You can't look ahead because everybody's playing like their lives depended on. Because you lose, you're done.
You lose, you're done. Play until you're outplayed, the motto of the month of March, or as some people call it, Izzo. Of course, a reference to Blake. D72, we look at 2 games to recap from Monday. Manistee and White Cloud going toe-to-toe. This was a game you wondered Manistee could get out and roll, and maybe they can stretch it out, but White Cloud hung right with them. That's a big credit to the Indians team, losing by only 6, 40-34. And then Mason County Central on their home floor just took care of business. The Panthers have been struggling all year, and Mason County Central rolling at the right time. And you could certainly see why, winning this one by a large margin. I'll keep the Panthers fans with their hopes up, and I won't mention the score. You'll probably see it on your screen, though. Hart will be taking on Manistee, and Shelby will get Mason County Central. And Blake, we talked about it a little bit. Really reminiscent to looking at how Fremont played in the boys against Ludington in that second game. From that Reed City performance, looking at Mason County Central, obviously they could have a lot of momentum from that dominant performance against Shelby. And same thing for Manistee going up against a good Hart team. The momentum sometimes can be just enough to lift the team over the top.
Yeah, and anytime you win that first game, you have that momentum, and it's tough sometimes to play against that team that's already played one district game. They understand the feel of it, they understand the circumstances. I'm not saying that those other teams don't, but it's just different once you've played one. And like you said, we saw that with Fremont and Ludington. Fremont played a really, really good first half against Ludington on the boys' side. And you look at Manistee, that's a tall order. You're dealing with Hart and Addie Hubby. There's as good a team in D3 as there is. So that's a really tough one. And then on the flip side, Mason County Central, getting that win, and then hopefully to build on that success to continue their run in March.
For sure. Looking at District 73, Kent City will await Lakeview after they pulled off the win against Holton in their gym. That's a massive win for the Wildcats. Remember, the Wildcats beat the Mohawks earlier this year, Morley Stanwood, who are the 2 seed, and now await the Ravenna Bulldogs after defeating Blanchard Montebello by 16. Obviously, Kent City and Lakeview, those teams have faced each other 2 times this year, make it a third, and Morley Stanwood gets a good Ravenna team that we've seen do some good things this year. So this should be a very interesting bracket. Blake, I know for a fact many people are probably maybe not going to put their mortgage on it, but maybe a sizable bet we'll see the Eagles and Mohawks for a third time. But you just never know, especially the Wildcats have played spoiler. They might do it again.
Yeah, that's a Wildcats team, the Lakeview Wildcats, where they have gotten better. They have improved definitely in the last few years. They finished in the top half of the league last year when all 11 teams were together. And then now they have some success. Anytime you beat Morley Stanwood's girls program, you're doing something right, because that's a program that's always up, that's always playing well. And then, the Kent City Eagles, a team that has gone to the Breslin Center, a team that has lost in a state final. Again, the tradition there is immense. And they're my favorite to win this district. I think that they get past Lakeview, but, Lakeview probably give them, everything they can handle. And I'm looking forward to possibly seeing a third matchup between the Mohawks and the Eagles.
Could be very interesting. That will conclude the girls coverage. Before we flip over to the guys recap of districts, be sure if you want to sponsor the rundown, 796-7000 for more information to get you hooked up with local high school sports, as well as other sports that we have on WBRN, including the Red Wings, Tigers, and Detroit Lions radio networks in our broadcast there. District 35 finished out. Ludington takes down Hart after the Pirates knocked off the Cardinals. Obviously a tough game for Big Rapids in general. Really had it in the first quarter. Ty Gilchek goes down. Cardinals just couldn't seem to find a basket, and Hart found it, and they filled it as much as they could, getting out to a run. Big comeback for the Cardinals in the final seconds, but ultimately just fall short against a good Hart team. But Ludington, the number 1 seed for a reason, and they look like it on Friday night as well.
Yeah, I didn't get eyes on, but I listened to it, and it just sounded like it's the same thing that kind of happened to Reed City's girls. Hart just ran out of gas. Ludington does a couple of different things that you saw that bothered Hart when they played Big Rapids. Ludington pressed the whole game, and you saw in that fourth quarter when the Cardinals turned on their press, they probably turned Hart over 10 times in that final frame there. They just ran out of gas again. It's tough to beat 2 good teams in 3 days. Hart does a good job of taking down a Ty Gilchik-less Cardinal team. If he doesn't get injured, I think that the outcome is very different. They're up by 11 when he gets injured. And then you could feel the momentum shift in the gym. And they battled back, like you said, and just came up short. A really, really tough way to end your season, but a valiant effort. And then Ludington just, they just proved too much for Hart, mainly because they have the guys that they can press all game long. And on the flip side, Hart struggled with the press. We saw that, and that's kind of what happened. Ludington got out to a double-digit lead relatively early and was able to cruise to victory.
Should be an exciting matchup in the regional round, which will actually be taking place at Big Rapids High School. Blake, I know you're going to the game. I'm definitely tuning into the game against Standish Sterling. Coach Heiss was talking about that team they were looking for last week, and for good reason, as they beat Gladwin 51-37. We'll see how the Panthers stack up there against the Orioles. Should be a very interesting matchup in guard play. Obviously, Ludington's got some great guards. Standish, you can say the exact same thing. And so that'll be very interesting after Standish Sterling knocks off Gladwin in that matchup. Both those teams we expected to be there.
Yes, Coach Coyne at Standish Sterling, he was there when we made a deep run, beat them in a regional semi. That would have been Quinn Tyson's senior year, so 2014, I believe, in that range. Maybe. And then, and Coach Shank there for the Orioles, another future Hall of Famer, does a really, really good job. So expect that one to be a chess match between coaches, two programs. When you get to regionals, everybody is good. No one's there by mistake. It's going to be a high-level high school basketball game in Cardinal Arena. I can't wait to watch that one unfold tonight.
For sure. District 40, Portland knocks off St. John's. Ionia takes care of Belding. The two meet. And at the end of the day, the home court advantage is the victorious party. Portland takes down Ionia by 4. And sometimes it's the luck of the draw. Turns out, if you get home court, you might just have a little bit of an advantage. And for Portland, 2 baskets wins it for them, and they get a district title.
Yeah, and Portland was a league title winner. I believe it was the CAAC White. They were in the same league as my alma mater, Charlotte. And they won their league. They've got a really good boys program, really good girls program right now. It's kind of like the golden age for Portland Raiders basketball right now.
Absolutely. And they've been great at football over the last couple of years as well. District 41, the shocker of the year we mentioned earlier, Comstock Park. You can see there in the championship game after knocking off Grant. What a basketball game that was. Comstock falls 10 points short of an immaculate district title as they fall to Sparta there at Forest Hills Eastern by 10, 68-58. Kudos to Comstock Park, team that found a way to win in March, made everything super exciting. I know the Tigers were devastated to take that loss. They're going to bounce back next year. We know it as well. But man, that team showed a lot of fight. And that's what March is all about. Seeing teams that you didn't think would make it. And those are memories that last a lifetime.
Yeah, and the way that we would equate that one, that's a 16 seed beating a 1 seed. That's a team that if you were going to say the Comstock Park's a team that was one of the last seeds in their conference tournament, if we're using a college, as an analogy, and they win their conference championship, their conference tournament, get that seed, that they steal a seed, and then they somehow upset, the favorite in their region. A crazy win, but again, that's what tournament basketball, especially this time, is all about. Is the upsets. What can happen next? That's what makes this game so great.
Did I hear Fairleigh Dickinson earlier, or is that just the reference that we could make beating Purdue not too long ago? That's where it seems like the comparison could lie. Congrats to Comstock Park, but congrats to Grant as well on a great season. District 72, we saw obviously White Cloud got to Pine River. Pine River knocks them off, and Pine River finishes the job. They beat Manistee by 5. This is a really fun Pine River team to watch, and they got some big guys as well, and they're going to have to use them against McBain in a massive game tonight. That's going to be really fun to watch, but Pine River gets the job done. Very impressive stuff from what they've done to turn around that program. The size has obviously helped, but they've been able to win some of those games. Ultimately fall just short at Shelby, and obviously Manistee was the team we're wondering, hey, there's the 3 seed to watch, and they prove so. They get to the title game.
Yeah, and, Manistee, like we said, beat a really good Whitehall team, also upset in district semifinals. But Pine River, I watched some of that game, well coached, gritty. I got some players up there that do some nice things. But then now you run into that bust that is McBain. And McBain is a perennial power. And they've seen each other twice already because they're in the same league. But anything can happen at this time. It's going to be a neutral court. And Pine River's playing really well right now. And like I said, you get to this point of the season, everybody's good. Everybody's battle tested. Really excited to see how that one shakes out. Would love to see Pine River advance to a regional championship, but a tall task in beating a really, really well-coached, outstanding program in McBain.
Absolutely. And we get to the Lakeview bracket in District 73. The Ravenna Bulldogs knock off the Mustangs of Montebello to get to the title game. and they win it over Kent City. Massive win for the Bulldogs. The 4 seed, the Cinderella story is complete. They win all 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, to hoist the trophy. And we saw Kent City, obviously, and Morley Stanwood battle that one out. Kent City wins that one to get to it. That's a statement win for the Eagles for how they've done this year. But Ravenna, just the team that got hot at the exact right time.
Yeah, it could be also one of those things. Kent City having to play a rival team, you expend a lot of energy, not just physically but emotionally as well. And then you see the 4 seed is on the other side of the floor, and you're like, this is one we should win. But on hindsight, you see that Ravenna barely lost a heart right before the season ended. They're battle tested. They play in a really tough conference. So you see that they're successful in that, right? And they find a way to win a district. A good ball club. Kudos to Kent City for a great season. Got to a district final. They return a lot of their players, so they're going to be one of the teams to beat in the CSAA next year.
Should be very interesting. Before we depart, just some key regionals to look out for. And obviously, we'll recap this on the broadcast likely tomorrow as well at some point for both boys and girls. Sparta taking on Spring Lake. Spring Lake knocks off Whitehall again, so they will play the Spartans. That should be a fun one to watch, as well as McBain, Pine River, we mentioned earlier. Beale City taking on Alcona. We'll see how that one goes. And North Muskegon against Ravenna. 2 perennials. Obviously, Ravenna's been an athletic school for years. They've now seen if they're Cinderella slipper still fits against North Muskegon, a team that's probably one of the favorites in that regional. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And really looking at the rest of these games, there's a lot of good toss-up games as well. The Marion Eagles, a team from the area, taking on Traverse City Christian. So we'll obviously root on the Eagles. They don't get enough love for how well they've done with their athletic program so far.
Yeah, again, you can go on the NFHS network, find a game, and I'm sure you're gonna have a good time watching it. There's a lot of high-level high school hoops by local teams that aren't so local, and this is the best time of year. You can go home and you can watch girls district games on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, boys regional games on Tuesday, Thursday, and then you've got big time college basketball, pro basketball on the weekends. If you're a basketball lover, this is the best time of year, and it's not even close.
Not even close. And we haven't even gotten to the tournament yet of March Madness. So this is all just a precursor. I cannot wait to see what March Madness has in store. I don't know about you, Blake, but I mean, Michigan or Michigan State in the title game, I say we just put those guys in at the championship game. I think we don't need the 64 team bracket. It's a waste of time.
I would love that. Get the Big Ten a championship again.
Yes, there we go. Big thanks to everybody tuning in. Be sure to subscribe on Big Rapids Daily News for more editions of The Rundown. Blake, once again, we'll see you on Wednesday, my friend.
Yeah, can't wait. Excited to call another game.
Absolutely. Big Country 100.9 for the Girls District 35 matchups. Big Rapids, 5:20 p.m. on 100.9 and WWBR.com. We'll see you later, everybody.